No, she isn't. She isn't some evil mastermind. She loves me, Freddie. I wish you'd just give her a chance. The tension reached its peak one night when Dad called me in a fury. Freddie, I need to see you. Now. Find Agatha pacing, and Dad holding a tablet with security footage queued up. Hey, Dad, what's wrong? Someone broke into the house last night.
And we think it was you, Freddie.
Me? Are you serious? Agatha pointed to the screen. The footage showed a masked figure ransacking the living room, wearing a hoodie that looked suspiciously like one I owned, as well as pants that had a logo on them that I had personally made. Freddie, the only way I'll believe you is if you let us search your place. Show me that nothing from my house is there. Unfortunately, that was a mistake. When I took them over to my house and let them begin to search, sure enough, Agatha found all kinds of her jewelry in one of my dresser drawers. I of course had no idea how they had gotten there, but that was all the proof my father needed. How could you? Dad, I didn't do this. I swear. I don't know how those got there. But he didn't believe me. He called the police, and within hours, I was sitting in a holding cell, replaying the nightmare over and over. My name is Freddie Timmons, and my father, Victor Timmons, has always been my hero. Growing up as the son of a wealthy, self-made businessman, I never felt neglected or overshadowed. Victor was the kind of father who made time for me, despite the demands of running his multi-million-dollar company. He was warm, generous, and never let his success change who he was. We had the kind of relationship others envied: weekend fishing trips, late-night chess matches, and heart-to-heart talks about life. It felt like nothing could shake the bond we had. But everything changed when my mother got sick. Watching cancer take her away was the hardest thing I've ever endured. For months, Dad and I tried to hold each other together, but after her death, it was like something broke inside him. Freddie, I just need some time, all right? I get it, Dad, but we should talk. About anything. I miss her too. I know you do. I can't right now. He shut himself away, drowning in work and memories. I gave him space, thinking he'd eventually come back to me. But days turned into months, and the distance only grew. It pained my heart to know that my dad was suffering, and that I couldn't help him. I think he just found it difficult to see me, since I looked a lot like her. So seeing me just kept bringing up pain for him. Even though it wasn't good for either of us, I gave him space, but I definitely wasn't ready for what happened next. Dad reached out to me to tell me that he had met someone. I was reluctant at first, but I was just glad that we were talking again, and I didn't question why. In hindsight, I really should have, though. Freddie, I want you to meet Agatha, he said one evening over dinner. His voice was lighter than it had been in years. I could see just how excited he was about introducing her to me. Agatha, huh? You must be special if my old man's smiling again.
Oh, he's told me so much about you, Freddie. You're just as charming as he described.
Part of me wanted to dislike her on principle. No one could replace Mom. But Agatha seemed kind, funny, and genuinely interested in my life. Over the next few months, we all grew closer. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was getting my dad back. But things weren't as perfect as they seemed. The first crack in Agatha's mask appeared during a family dinner. Dad and I were reminiscing about an old road trip when Agatha interrupted.
You two are so close. Sometimes I wonder if there's room for anyone else in Victor's life.
Of course there is, although I'm glad he's happy again.
Really? Because sometimes it feels like you're trying to keep him all to yourself.
I laughed it off, but her words lingered and her expression was cold. At first I thought it was a joke, but seeing her not even smile made me wonder. Over the next few weeks, little things started to pile up. Agatha would misinterpret my words, twisting them when she repeated them to Dad.
Victor, Freddie said he thinks you're rushing into things with me.
What? Freddie, is that true? No, I never said that. Agatha, why would you…
Oh, maybe I misunderstood. I'm so sorry, Freddie.
Huh. Well, what did you say, Freddie? I had said that it was great how quickly you two were able to develop such an intimate relationship. You two really seem to have a lot in common. Oh well, that's quite the simple misunderstanding. See, my love, you have nothing to worry about. Her innocent smile masked something darker. It felt very much like she didn't like having me around. One afternoon, Dad and I were walking through the garden, discussing a potential new investment for the company. I don't know, Dad. The market's volatile. I'd be cautious about moving forward with that.
Perhaps you're right. Agatha seemed quite sure it was a good move, though.
I didn't know that the idea had been Agatha's, and I regretted what I said later when Agatha approached me. She was furious, and I felt more than a little concerned with the way she approached me.
I heard you telling Victor not to trust my advice about his investments.
What? That's not what I said.
Well, he seemed upset when he told me. Are you sure you're not trying to undermine me?
No, Agatha. I had no idea that the investment idea came from you. I just gave my opinion on it. I have no intentions of getting in between you and my father.
See that you don't, because if I find out that you are trying to divide us, I will make you regret ever even thinking about it.
Agatha, calm down. You make my father happy. I am not trying to undermine you. There's no need to get upset.
Don't you dare tell me to calm down, you insolent jackass. You haven't seen me upset yet, but if you do, then you'll best guard yourself because I will claw your damn eyes out. So watch yourself and choose your words more carefully.
It became clear that she had something of an anger issue, and I think she saw me as competition for my father's love. I really felt like she was beginning to suspect that she was sowing seeds of doubt, trying to turn us against each other. One day, I got a call from Dad. His tone was colder than usual. We had been planning a huge charity gala that would help us network and expand the business.
Freddie, did you tell the staff to exclude Agatha from the upcoming charity gala invitations?
What? No, I don't even handle that.
Well, Agatha's upset. She thinks you're trying to embarrass her.
No, Dad, I am not trying to do that. I promise you.
Well, she is saying something different. I'm not sure what to believe.
I confronted Agatha later that evening, trying to get to the bottom of what was going on, although I pretty much suspected that she was just playing silly games. Why are you lying to Dad about me?
Lying? I would never. You are always accusing me of lying. It makes me so angry.
Damn it, Agatha. Just stop it already. You know I didn't touch those invitations. So why did you tell my father that I tried to exclude you?
I just told him how I felt, and it really felt like you were excluding me from planning the event, so I assumed that you were trying to exclude me. Maybe you don't realize how hurtful you can be.
From then on, it was one thing after another. She accused me of mocking her at a party, sabotaging her attempts to redecorate the house, and even hiding her favorite earrings. Each time, Dad would confront me, and each time, I'd deny it. Although my father was quickly beginning to believe her claims, the more I denied them, the more she made, and it made me look guilty. I just couldn't get my father to see the manipulation for what it was.
Freddie, I don't know what's going on between you two, but you need to stop antagonizing her.
Dad, she's the one causing problems. Can't you see that? She's manipulating you.
No, she isn't. She isn't some evil mastermind. She loves me, Freddie. I wish you'd just give her a chance.
The tension reached its peak one night when Dad called me in a fury.
Freddie, I need to see you. Now.
I arrived at his mansion to find Agatha pacing and Dad holding a tablet with security footage queued up. Hey, Dad, what's wrong?
Someone broke into the house last night.
And we think it was you, Freddie.
Me? Are you serious? Agatha pointed to the screen. The footage showed a masked figure ransacking the living room, wearing a hoodie that looked suspiciously like one I owned, as well as pants that had a logo on them that I had personally made.
Freddie, the only way I'll believe you is if you let us search your place. Show me that nothing from my house is there.
Unfortunately, that was a mistake. When I took them over to my house and let them begin to search, sure enough, Agatha found all kinds of her jewelry in one of my dresser drawers. I of course had no idea how they had gotten there, but that was all the proof my father needed.
How could you?
Dad, I didn't do this. I swear. I don't know how those got there. But he didn't believe me. He called the police, and within hours, I was sitting in a holding cell, replaying the nightmare over and over. When the officers questioned me, I showed them my passport and flight tickets. I'd only returned from a business trip half an hour before Dad and Agatha called me. I had been out of town for an impromptu trip to see a friend of mine that was going through some troubles of their own. It was impossible for me to have committed the crime, but my father wouldn't let me tell him that. Once he saw the jewelry, he would not listen to me. The police believed me once they spoke with the guards at the airport and my friend. They were of course confused though, as to how the thief not only wore my clothes, but had placed the jewelry in my house. My alibi checked out, but the police promised to keep an eye on me as a person of interest. I of course suspected that Agatha had set all of this up, but I wasn't sure exactly how. The police, to their credit, promised me that they would look into it, but I knew I couldn't rely on them alone. I started following Agatha, determined to uncover the truth. It didn't take long. One afternoon, I spotted her at a cafe, laughing with a man I didn't recognize. He was wearing a watch, Dad's watch. One of the ones that had been stolen during the break-in. I took several photos and then rushed to the police station. The police investigated the man and found out that he had a history of breaking into people's homes, and so they raided the man's apartment. Inside, they found more of Dad's belongings. Under pressure, he confessed everything.
At first, Agatha hired me, but then we started having sex and became a couple. When I asked if she was going to inherit a lot of money when the old man kicked it, she said that there was a problem and the only way to get rid of the problem was to frame her stepson.
So, how did you do it?
That was easy. I broke into his apartment and stole some of his clothes that Agatha told me to take, and I wore them along with a mask when I robbed Victor's house. Then I took some of the jewelry I stole and hid it in Freddie's house like she told me to. We needed to make sure that he was off of the will so that when we offed him, that all his money would go to us. And the only way to do that was to make Victor hate his own son.
Offed him? So you two were planning on killing Victor?
Yeah. Agatha promised me that we would be crazy rich, but I'm a thief, not a murderer. Stealing from some old rich dude is one thing, but killing him, that was all on her.
Is that so? Will you testify to that in court?
If you give me a reduced sentence, then yeah, I will.
Agatha was arrested for conspiracy, burglary, and attempted murder. As for Agatha's boyfriend, his sentence was reduced since he cooperated with the police. When Dad learned the truth about Agatha, he was devastated.
Freddie, I don't know how I let this happen. I was blind.
She was manipulative, Dad. It's not your fault. He didn't wait more than a second before calling his lawyer, and he had the lawyer draw up divorce paperwork. As she was being processed and sent to prison for decades, she received paperwork saying that they were divorced, and because she had tried to have him killed, he was awarded everything and didn't have to give her a single penny. My father dodged a literal bullet and was incredibly grateful. He apologized dozens of times, but I kept reminding him that love had made him blind and that all was forgiven. After that, we promised that we would never again let anyone come between us. In the end, the ordeal strengthened our bond. For the first time in years, it felt like we were truly a family again, and no one would ever tear us apart. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more amazing stories.